Hi everyone, I'm back for chapter 19. Whoops, Leanne's voice said from everywhere and nowhere. Well, that can't be good. I bet that could be seen for miles and miles. Hope no merfolk saw it. What did you do? May shouted, her eyes wide with surprise and anger. I didn't do anything, Jack yelled, shoving the sword into his sheath, where it went dark as usual. Perfect timing. The girl, the eye, she messed with it somehow. I heard her talking in my head, laughing. Philip grabbed Jack by the shirt vest and threw him against the wall. Back on land, the jolt would have hurt, but under the water, Jack barely felt the hit. The female eye is talking to you in your head, the prince shouted, veins popping out all unroyally across his face. If she is in your mind, she knows all our plans, and if she knows, then so does the wicked queen. I haven't told her anything, Jack shouted back. Stop it, Philip, May said, trying to pull the prince off of Jack. Jack wouldn't betray us. Oh, Philip said, because the wicked queen claimed either he or I would betray you, and I know that I could never do such a thing. Philip turned his gaze back to Jack. How long has the eye been talking to you, Jack? How long has she had access to our plans? I've seen her twice in my dreams and only heard her just the once when I haven't been asleep, Jack told him, his huge irritation at being manhandled by Philip unfortunately offset by the guilty suspicion that the prince might be right. Twice in your dreams, Philip said. You have been compromised by an eye. Philip, May said, yanking backward on the prince's shoulders, hard enough to pull him away from Jack. He didn't do anything wrong. Give up the sword, Jack, Philip said, trying to pull himself out of May's grasp without hurting her. That evil thing holds more power over you than you know. You have to destroy it if it has not already gotten to you. It hasn't gotten to him, May said exasperatedly. It's just a stupid sword. Jack's the exact same idiot he was before he found it. The sword isn't trying to turn me evil, Philip, Jack said, realizing he'd probably be saying the exact same thing if it actually were. The previous owner of this sword, he was on our side, believe me. He fought the queen. Or he told you so, Philip said quietly. Not helping, May shouted. Believe me, he did, Jack shouted. If I told you who he was, you'd know. Yeah, you... May started and then stopped. Wait, you know who he was? Jack winced. Sort of. You never told me that, she said, her suspicious look beginning to match that on Philip's. It didn't matter, Jack said, desperately clutching at anything that'd keep the night's secret from May. Just trust me, he's on our side. Our side, Philip said. That is practically their motto. They make you believe they are your friends, and then they cut your throat in your sleep. And that is if they like you. I heard stories of a man who spoke out against the queen without realizing an eye was present. The next day, his fingers were found nailed to his front door. Philip gritted his teeth. Only his fingers, Jack. The rest of him was never found, at least not what that was identifiable. Okay, first of all, May said, before turning back to Jack. Just tell him who the eye was and end this, Jack. If that's what it takes, what does it matter? It might matter to you, Jack said softly. What me? She asked, her face falling. I mean, I guess they all have something to do with me considering. But just tell him. It can't be that bad. Remember that she said that he was Snow White's late husband. Jack sighed deeply. I hate to disappoint you, May, but it usually is that bad. He was Snow White's late husband, yes. This sword came from the only eye ever to turn against the wicked queen. The charmed one? Philip blurted out. But you found the sword within the giant. So, Jack said, avoiding May's confused look. But stories say the charmed one perished at the hands of the wicked queen, Philip explained, in her castle after he helped the rebels break in. The queen killed him with his own sword for his betrayal, and as a final strike at Snow White before she fled. May jumped as if struck, bending over slightly. The wicked queen, killed him? Philip finally realized that he had said too much and shut his mouth much too late. Just finish the story, Philip, May told him. The prince sighed. The charmed one betrayed the wicked queen because he loved Snow White. The two fell in love and married, and the wicked queen killed him for it. Long story short, Jack said, the charmed one wasn't evil and neither is his sword. And he was the one trying to, I think, train me in my dreams until, Philip asked. Well, until the girl got into my head. Ever since, the charmed one's been kind of, missing. Jack, May said, letting go of Philip, none of that is good. Why didn't you tell us about her? Yeah, why didn't you tell them? Came Leanne's smug voice from all around him. Jack growled in frustration. Because it's none of your business. Neither of you have to deal with this. It's all up to me, all right? Oh, wow, May said, backing away. Jack, maybe that thing has gotten to you. It hasn't, Jack shouted. Now, I don't care what you two do. I'm going to find the sea witch before we can get eaten alive by mermen. With that, he flipped around and swam into the cave, not knowing or caring if the other two people were following him. Somehow swimming was harder than before, and Jack glanced down only to find 2 legs. His fishtail was gone, along with any chance of happy thoughts. Well, fantastic. Not trusting the sword enough to use it with Leanne in his head, Jack had more and more trouble seeing as the tunnel grew darker, though eventually a subtle glow began wafting out of the creepy plants on the ocean floor, giving him just enough light to see by. Eventually, the tunnel began to widen out into an open area, this one filled with crevices, hidey holes, and other tucked-away areas completely filled in all manner with bottles, jars, and nets. Hanging upside down from the ceiling, a throne made from some sort of reddish material filled with holes dominated the room, while directly underneath it a bubbling pool of glowing liquid maliciously somehow stayed put in a rock cauldron, not mixing with the water at all. No one's here, said May from behind him as she and Philip slowly swam into the room. Out of nowhere, Jack suddenly heard humming just as a bolt of white lightning as bright as the sun sizzled through the water and exploded against the wall behind them, blowing a hole right into the rock. All 3 of them whirled around to find a small army of mermen staring at them, lined up like soldiers. And in front of the soldiers stood one of the most beautiful mermaids Jack had ever seen, long red hair swaying in the water, lightning playing between her fingers as she hummed, her tail a shimmering shade of green. Humans, the mermaid said, sounding surprised as the lightning disappeared. It's been quite a while since I've seen your type down here. What's the word for your young? A school? That's fish, May said quietly. The mermaid smiled. Ah, yes, she said. A school is where your young are educated. But a school of fish? Why would you call it such? Why play games with them, Megan? The merman said to the on the woman's right, said quietly. This one wearing a metal helmet in the shape of a shark's mouth, a visual that didn't particularly match the bright blue, almost feathery tail that started at his waist. I'm not playing, Megan said, throwing Bluetail a smile. I've always been fascinated by humans, that's all. This seemed to annoy Bluetail. And how did that end? Megan's eyes narrowed and she shook her head. You promised you'd never bring that up again. You're right, I'm sorry, Bluetail said. But enough with these creatures. We followed them here. This is obviously their goal. They seek to steal from the fabled sea witch, apparently. He smiled at this, though the smile didn't reach his eyes. How are you breathing underwater, humans? The mermaid asked. Creatures as young as you shouldn't know magic that complex. Someone helped us with that, Jack said, not sure how to share just yet. Either way, we're not here to hurt you, so... Hurt us? Bluetail said, almost whispering. His tail twitched and he shot forward, stopping just inches from Jack's face. And how exactly could you do that? All the frustration from the last few minutes exploded in Jack's chest, and abruptly the entire world slowed down. Instantly, Bluetail, Megan, and the rest of the mermen, everything froze almost to a complete halt. Jack, his eyes completely empty, took his now black sword off his back and raised it at the merman's neck, and then released everything to speed up once more. Let's be honest, Jack said to the surprised Bluetail. I wouldn't be able to get you all, but I could get a few, maybe even most. And my 2 friends, they're a lot faster than me. So maybe just listen to us for a second. You're an eye, the mermaid said. Lightning now played over her fingers again. Jack couldn't tell if she said that with respect, fear, or hatred, or some fun combination of all 3. Not exactly, Jack responded, unless you know that helps. Megan smiled. Only in that it tells me clearly which of you is most dangerous. You're right, Mako. We need to stop playing around. She raised her hand and a tornado of water exploded toward Jack. A lightning bolt crashed in the center of the tornado. Instantly, Jack slowed time once more and brought the sword up to block, but the blast was too fast. The sword barely managed to deflect the lightning, while the brunt of the water tornado sent Jack flying back against the nearby cave wall. Kill the others, the mermaid declared calmly. I'll take the eye. We must be quick, Bluetail said. If the wicked queen dares send her eyes to the sea witch's lair, then the king should hear about this. Stop calling it a lair, Megan said. It's my escape, nothing more. You're the sea witch? May blurted out. Do not call me that, Megan said, turning her lightning crackling hands toward May. But we need your help, the fairy homelands. May abruptly went silent as the mermaid hummed quickly, and seaweed wrapped itself around May's mouth. The mermaid floated closer, glaring at her. If you value your life, you will never mention those fairies again, she said. I've changed my mind, Bluetail said, looking a bit more thoughtfully at the three of them. We may indeed learn something from these children. He turned to look at Jack. For instance, how one so young might hold such power yet have no idea how to use it. You're just bitter, Jack said, sucking in water to fill his lungs, 'cause I was faster than you and your pretty blue girly tail. Bluetail smiled dangerously and then said one word, frenzy. Instantly, the entire group of mermen attacked, shooting off in every direction. Jack focused, blocking the first few hits, but there were too many mermen, all moving just a bit slower than he did, and eventually a few blows made it through his defense. Moments later, Jack, Philip, and May were separated, each one bound with ropes of braided seaweed, and then dragged before Bluetail and Megan. The sea witch frowned. This is a mistake, Mako. You are knowingly bringing an eye into the castle of the king of the world. I'm curious why the wicked queen would send obviously untrained soldiers into our realm, Bluetail said, and then glanced at Megan. Whether or not it brings up bad memories. The sea witch sighed and then abruptly nodded, a small smile playing on her face. I do love you, Mako, but sometimes you can be very irritating, she said, and turned away. Bring them, Bluetail said to his fellow mermen. The three humans were each grabbed by two mermen, then roughly dragged by their now revealed feet after the swimming creatures, off apparently to meet the king of the entire world. And I'll see you guys next time for Chapter 20. Bye.